Hi, I'm Nathan Cruz and welcome to Halloween season inside the toy room. As it's the month of October, just like we did last year, inspired by Variant Comics. If you haven't checked their channel out, check it out if you're into comic books. I love Iris Canones and his channel is so good. Still check it out to this day myself. Do the same if you're into comic books. But if you're into toys, stay right here because we're going to actually take a look today at the toy history of Mr. Sinister. Now, Mr. Sinister is one of the evil mutants in the X-Men and personally is my favourite for a number of reasons. Firstly, just look at him. He's really cool. I just love the look of him. Secondly, if you're following his origin story from the X-Men animated series, get on this. This is so cool and it kind of fits with the Halloween theme. Mr. Sinister, once a doctor by the name of Nathaniel Essex, in 1888 in London, was working with Jack the Ripper to harvest organs for his project. How incredible is that? I mean, I'm a bit of a ripperologist. That's just something else that I'm also interested in. I've been for a long time. When I saw this on a recent cartoon, I'd never seen that episode before until I went through the entire series on DVD, and there was this episode with this origin of Mr. Sinister, and yeah, he's working with Jack the Ripper, which is very dark to be in a kid's cartoon, but I thought it was incredible to see as a 30-year-old bloke at the time that I was watching it. And yeah, this was just another reason why I was like, I think Mr. Sinister's my favourite. I love the entire presentation of him, from his look aesthetically to his voice, the fangs. He's just an incredibly cool mutant. Now, in regards to his toy history, Mr. Sinister's first action figure was actually this one, which was produced in 1993. It's the 3.5-inch figures Toy Biz were known for creating for their Marvel superheroes. Has a cool little light up diamond on his chest right here. The back of it, you got your standard collect the whole set. And a little blurb here about Mr. Sinister is a mysterious evil mutant mastermind who loves to plot and scheme but prefers to let others do the fighting for him. But if he's trapped and has to fight, watch out. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that, to be honest. This was the first Mr. Sinister figure. Never owned it as a kid, but it was something that I definitely wanted to add to this collection when I started diving into the X-Men collection, and so yeah, one of my favourites. And of course, around about the same time, I think it may have been a year later, yep, 1994, it says right there on the back, they released the 10-inch versions, and there was pretty much the same figures, only I don't think this one, the diamond doesn't light up. I mean, you can get a battery in this guy, but you can't in this guy. Come on, Toy Biz, sort it out. Well, can't anymore. Went into liquidation. But, yeah. You would have thought that the diamond would have been able to light up on this one, but it doesn't. So, you know, kind of maybe minus points for that. But overall, in regards to how it looks to being a show-accurate action figure, again, really good. And I'm just a sucker for this box artwork, that neon green with the blue on the red, like just so colourful and bright. This was something that I was very happy to add to the collection when I did. It was one of the very early ones that I actually got for my X-Men collection. Now recently I added this to my collection for my birthday this year. Matt Myers got me this, in fact. Diamond Select, which are known for doing a whole host of incredibly good detailed statues for quite affordable, because these are made of plastic. And I saw this and I was like, firstly, I love the green smoke around it. Green's my favourite colour. I love the green smoke around it and just the whole presence, how it presents him as a character. And that's what Diamond Select are so good at, to be honest with you. So good at capturing the detail and the essence of the character. And I love this Mr. Sinister. I mean, the back view, the neglects no detail on the back as good as the front is. I love having that here. But there's plenty more actually of Mr. Sinister that I don't have. Some that I might want to add to the collection, some that I definitely don't. One of them is, they did these things in the 90s called projectors. Toy Biz again, where you would have either Spider-Man or, in this case, Mr. Sinister, and they would project a light out of the middle of them. Not like his diamond, just like they have a big awkward looking round circle. It's just, you can project onto walls. It's so stupid. It's so very 90s, but it's probably something that I don't want to add to this collection. The one that I do actually want to add to the collection, and it actually didn't come from the X-Men series, it came from the Marvel Universe series, and that was Bishop against Mr Sinister in a twin pack, and I believe that's in the 10-inch scale actually. Bishop, I've mentioned before, is one of my favourite X-Men. He's definitely my favourite time travelling X-Men. So him against my favourite evil mutant in a box would be really cool to have, and a really good addition. And again, kind of like some of those Marvel Universe figures, we've covered them in a previous episode. I don't understand why the toy line didn't do that well, to be honest, because I thought they looked really good. But again, when you're a kid and you have all the colours of these are usually the ones that you end up parting money with. I mean, the Marvel Universe ones, as great as the boxes are, they almost from afar look like they're a knockoff of these. So you can understand why that toy line didn't last as long as the ones that was associated with the TV series. Now in 2005, that was when Marvel was launching its Marvel Legends action figure series, which is one of the most sought after collections amongst toy collectors, especially those originals. It's something that I purposely avoided getting into because I remember when I first started toy collecting, I saw some of them around and how much they were already going for, and this was around about 2013 when I really dove into toy collecting. And I was thinking, well, I'll be forever in a day. There's so many of them, and I'll end up parting ways with so much money. And again, I don't have that much attachment to them. I'd rather just get the OGs from when I was a kid. But yeah, they did, of course, a Mr Sinister that was released in 2005. But since then, Hasbro, of course, have been doing all the re-releases, which you know how much I despise them. And they've done a re-release of Mr Sinister. I believe in 2019 they did a re-release of the Marvel Legends Mr Sinister. More recently, again, something that I don't collect, Funko Pops. And just last year in 2020, they finally released a Mr Sinister Funko Pop. And I say finally, yeah, I don't collect them, but he's such an iconic character within the X-Men that they've had so many other characters that they've released, or spin-offs of characters. They did an entire Venomized series after the Venomized comic came out, that I can't believe that this is the first time we've actually got a Mr Sinister in a Funko Pop form. But yeah, you can now get your hands on a Mr Sinister Funko Pop if that's your thing. Again, not something I collect, but it's cool that there's a Mr Sinister out there. Now, to take things back to the 90s, in 1998 Marvel released a toy series called the Famous Covers series, and in this you'd have a famous cover of a certain character and an 8-inch figure. And the 8-inch figure of Mr Sinister, again, you're getting this really for the box art. The box art's incredible. It's got all that gold metallic stuff, the cool art cover, and again, the entire series, Famous Covers, right? And then you get an 8-inch figure, as I mentioned, but it's basically like a small scale version of the 10-inch figure, if you ask me. I even think it may even be in a plush. Like, I don't have it in this collection, and again, it's one of them that I'm probably not going to add to it, even though I do like the Famous Covers. But also, as a comic book reader, I'd rather just go and get that comic myself. But there's been a whole host of Mr Sinister figures from 1993, from its inception, the 3.5-inch figure, all the way up to 2020 and the Mr Sinister Funko Pop. And that's because he's one of the most beloved mutants within the evil mutants, should I say, within the X-Men series. He's a really cool character. He's got an incredibly good backstory, depending whether you're taking it from the animated series version or some of the various ones in the comic books. Either way, Nathaniel Essex, Mr Sinister, is a really good character to read. He's a really good character to watch in the TV show, and he's a really good character to present either as a model or as an action figure, because that is a superhero villain. Thanks again for joining us on this episode of Inside the Toy Room, and again, to continue with our theme of Halloween and taking a look at some of my favourite supervillains and the action figures that have come from them, join us next week when we're going to be taking a look at probably one of my favourite comic book villains ever, and that is Venom. And I've got a lot of Venom stuff to show you, so I can't wait to show you that next week on Inside the Toy Room. Bada bing, bada boom, we're done.